This, the fourth HMAS Sydney, is a far cry from her three predecessors. The first warship to carry the name of the capital of New South Wales served from 1913 to 1928. In World War I, the light cruiser Sydney destroyed the German light cruiser Emden, leaving her beached at Cocos Island. The Sydney II, also a light cruiser, gained fame in World War II by taking on a pair of Italian cruisers, sinking one and forcing the other to flee. Sydney II was lost with all hands in a 1941 battle with the German raider Cormoran. The third ship to bear the name Sydney was an aircraft carrier that saw action in the Korean conflict and in Vietnam waters as a troop transport. Whether the newest Sydney gains equal measures of fame remains to be seen. But on January 29, 1983, she became the newest member of the Royal Australian Navy in commissioning ceremonies. The guest of honor, the Right Honourable Lord Mayor of Sydney, Douglas W. Sutherland, inspected the guard. Sydney Commanding Officer Commander G.P. Kable welcomed guests to the commissioning ceremony.
This is an historic occasion. This year, the Royal Australian Navy will celebrate its 72nd birthday. For 37 of those 72 years, there has been an HMAS Sydney, and Sydneys have figured prominently in our naval history. At the time of Sydney I's victory over Emden in 1914, Australia as a nation was just 13 years old and of less than 5 million people, and the Royal Australian Navy just 3 years old. Whilst the German cruiser Emden, in the few weeks prior to the battle, had sunk 25 merchant ships and 2 warships. 9 Allied warships, Japanese, British, Russian and French, were actively engaged in hunting her. Thus, for our infant navy and nation, her destruction was a significant occasion and for the Allied cause of strategic importance. There are members of her ship's company still living today, although none were able to join us here. We do have on board some reminders of Sydney I, a cigar box fashioned from the timber of Emden's deck, a copy of a letter sent by Captain Glossop calling on the captain of Emden to surrender after Emden had been driven ashore badly damaged. Likewise, we think mainly of Sydney II's victory over the Italian cruisers in 1940, but she was involved in many other actions in the Mediterranean and in vital convoy protection in the Indian Ocean. We are fortunate here today to have with us Douglas Price and Jim Simpson, who were members of her company during the Mediterranean campaign, and we issue them a special welcome. I know today that they will be thinking especially of their former shipmates who sailed on Sydney's last campaign in the Indian Ocean. And so in her final action on the 19th of November 1941, most of the 645 who died had only the year before shared in the victories in the Mediterranean. The third Sydney served our nation longer than her predecessors, 25 years, and gave valued service during peace and war. Some of those on parade today served in Sydney 3, and I served in her twice as a junior officer, and my father was part of her aircrew during the Korean War. So she is a special ship for our family, as she is for many Australian families. And now to Sydney 4. The fine ship behind me is a tribute to American shipbuilding skills, and those who have built her have imparted their skills and their personalities to her. It gives me great pleasure to welcome here today members of all the trades in Todd Shipyard involved in building Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not going to be an easy task for us who now inherit the Sydney tradition to follow in the footsteps of Captain Glossop and his company, Captain Collins and his company, and of Captain Harries and those of Sydney 3. But that task will be made easier because of the support, assistance and goodwill represented amongst you, our guests, here today. Thank you.
Hooray! Off! Cap! Hooray! And that eight!
The ship's blessing was voiced by the chaplain, Captain Joseph Brennan of the Seattle Naval Base.
God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost, bless, direct, and prosper this ship, and all who sail in her, now and always. Amen.
Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arms have found the restless wave, who bids the mighty ocean deep its own appointed escape. Oh, hear us when we cry to thee, for those in peril on the
The Sydney's commanding officer, Commander Paul Kable, is piped aboard. The commissioning, of course, marks the acceptance of a ship as a unit of the Royal Australian Navy. Lord Mayor Sutherland said the residents of Sydney are waiting to welcome the ship and crew to Sydney Harbour.
And you can be assured that your entry into Sydney Harbour will be an occasion for great celebration and for the warmest welcome that the city can give.
Lord Mayor, thank you very much for your kind words. I'd now like to present to you.
Other notables at the ceremony included Australian Ambassador to the U.S., Sir Robert and Lady Cotton, and Washington Governor John Spellman and his wife. The usual exchange of gifts took place. The Lord Mayor presenting gifts from the city, and the captain giving the Lord Mayor and other guests mementos of the occasion. A noteworthy gift to the ship was a silver tray presented on behalf of Lady Willis, who launched the Sydney in September of 1980. A huge cake was cut by Commander Cable's wife, Anne, and able seaman Graham Johns, the crew's youngest member. The newest unit of the Royal Australian Navy, HMAS Sydney.